get wrecked when his facts get checked. Our video of the day comes from the Joe Rogan podcast, where Bernie Sanders stopped by to remind the world he's 7,000 years old. And that's almost as old as Greg's jokes about The View. Roll it.
Nice.
Are you going to run for president again?
I am 83 years of age.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure the American people will be enthusiastic on somebody's 108.
You're still very with it.
Thank you.
You are.
Well,
I mean, you're a couple years older than Biden.
Yeah.
Right? Think of that.
Yeah.
You could be off a lot worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
I haven't seen a pause that awkward since they told Greg he was too short to ride Space Mountain. Anyway, here's more.
Elon Musk, and I know Elon was on your show, and he's here in Austin, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. And we could talk about Elon, but he spent $270 million to elect Trump as president. Okay. I think that's absurd that any one person.
What's the most someone donated towards the Harris campaign?
They spent a lot of money on Harris as well.
They spent $1.5 billion just
combined
over the course of a couple of months.
You got it.
So they chatted for nearly 2 hours, which is the longest workday Bernie's had in his entire life. Joe, why do Dems only want to talk about campaign finance reform after they lose an election?
I don't know. It seems like they only want to talk about how elections were stolen after they lost an election. But okay, that was that was a little out of left field. But the thing that was crazy about this interview is that Democrats are so used to having a non-adversarial interview that they're just not ready for it. He couldn't pivot at all. Like you're more with it than Joe Biden. Well, I'm also more with it than Mitch McConnell, and he's a Galapagos tortoise. That was an impression. But I just think, if you're principled, you don't look like a hypocrite all the time. And Bernie Sanders isn't principled. That's why he's a communist that makes money selling books about hating capitalism.
He is kind of the only guy that's out there, Sherrod. He's willing to go on the podcast. He's willing to be out there. He is.
He's got nothing to lose.
Older.
He's
Is
old.
he the face of the Democrats that they need right now?
No, he's the grandpa. First of all, I think voters have a delusion of that the president has to be an old dude. Because I think FDR did it to him, because we always remember FDR when he was sitting next to Stalin and Churchill at that second meeting. And what was shocking, that FDR was the youngest of the three. Mm-hmm. It was his disease that made him look older. I mean, when Stalin was shocked, he thought somebody was poisoning him. Mm-hmm. I think we just need to move out of this old man era, and it's coming to, we got to find some younger, maybe 65. Is that asking too much? Is 65 asking too much?
That's a pretty good age.
Yes, you can still play catch with your grandkids.
Yeah, Bernie's not doing that.
No, he don't remember who his grandkids are. I'm one of them.
He might be shocked to learn that.
Yeah, I know I was.
Kat, have you? It feels like Bernie Sanders. So I worked on Capitol Hill starting in 1995. And it feels like to me Bernie Sanders was old then.
Yes.
And that was 1995. That was 30 years ago.
Yeah, but he seems to know that he's old. Remember when people were like, Joe, you really gonna run again? And he acted like you were ridiculous. Of course. He could barely get the words out. You do see that. And it's like, just acknowledge it. What's it gonna take for these people to just acknowledge it? Like, yes, I would say I am doing far better than Joe Biden would be if he were on this podcast. That's not even really being that nice to yourself.
And Tyrus, it's an interesting thing about teamwork with him, because he's a democratic socialist. Mm-hmm. He used to run as an independent, or called himself an independent. He wouldn't caucus with the Democrats. He's tried to get out there. Remember what they did with Hillary and Bernie. And he continues to carry water for them. Why is that?
I think because the paychecks are so big. I think it always makes me laugh when you see a well-off person push socialism, because it's socialism for you guys, not me.
Never.
I got to watch the money. I will live in the big house and make sure everything runs smoothly. You guys fight over the scraps, and we'll have the free stores and whatnot, and I'll stay on top of my little virtue signaling mountain with my armed security forces. So it's always the same thing with these guys. And what Bernie's different than the other Democrats because he's well-liked regardless. Something about Bernie, even when you disagree with him, you don't really hate him. You know, he's able to go into places where most Democrats wouldn't go, because even though Joe Rogan was giving him the business, especially on the reform stuff, where he was complaining about Elon cutting the check for $275 million, but forgot to mention the fact that Harris had $1.5 billion and still spent $20 million over. She owed $1.5 billion, and you spent over that? Like, and you have the mitigated gall to talk about a mere $217 million? I mean, it's a mirror.
Yeah.
You understand? Like, any Democrat that would talk about anything with campaign after how horribly run the Harris campaign was, he's got to be senile. And then when he hit him with it, oh, well, I haven't read that. And then the same thing with climate control, where he was like telling him, like, oh yeah, the climate control is a real thing. And Rogan's like, well, let's look at the stats. Well, the planet is actually cooler now than it was, and there's no static thing, and everything seems to be fine. And what was his answer? Well, I haven't read that.
Right.
You know, like, oh, that's not what I haven't heard that. Like, well, because you're the leading. I mean, because he's a cloud. He's in charge of the weather. He knows it firsthand. Like, that's what kills me about these guys.
I think Bernie does come off as super likable. I mean, the look.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think his accent.
The hair. He looks like your fun old uncle that would let you come over and help him make stuff in his laboratory. But in a good way.
Like, he's just missing a Morty.
And Sherrod, you don't get the sense that he's lying to you.
No, it's something trustworthy about him and his way and his delivery. Ain't it weird, though, that Joe Rogan, the dude from Fear Factor, is the voice of reason for stuff? Like, when did the guy from Talk Radio become?
Yeah.
Joe, would you like to see Bernie Sanders come on this show?
Oh, that'd be amazing, because he is very likable. Maybe he could host, because I have a feeling I could really use him hosting when it's pay raise time.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.